I don't think we needed a countdown to get this recording started, Chase, because we have so much to get to on this show tonight. I mean, how excited are you? It's Monday, February 24th. And see, here's the funny thing. This podcast is called Waitin All Day for Sunday night, and yet we're recording this on a Monday night. So, the irony of this.
We're waiting all day for Monday night at this rate. This is spooky hours of the offseason. Just started.
Well, see, here's the thing. Sunday night, like I've come to realize that when there's not Sunday night football and when it's not the NFL in season, when we're not in season, right? Sunday night is referred to for some people as a Law and Order night. And yes, you can watch Law and Order, or you can also just, organize and plan your week. And then we come Monday night after the first day of the work week. And, people need to de-stress. People need to, people are missing football on Monday night. So, why not talk a little football with them, Chase? As we record this on a Monday night, you're probably listening to this on a Tuesday morning, which I believe is the hardest day of the work week. I don't know about you.
It's tough.
Tough Tuesdays. Toughness Tuesdays. Anyways, he's Chase Younts at Younts Chase 32 on Twitter, also the host of the Cut to the Chase podcast. I'm Alex Frank. You can refer to me by my stage name, Frankie, if you wish. No hard feelings either way. I'm on Twitter, Frankie_Natty. Chase, I was thinking about something. Yeah. You know how we were talking Thursday night, how Major League Baseball on ESPN, that's going to be over, unfortunately, at the end of this season, which really is the end of an era if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to 1990. Hey, maybe that's what cursed the Reds. The city hasn't won championships since 1990, so maybe once that ends, this drought will end.
TV contracts, man, play a difference.
Wow, maybe that's the reason for the curse. The curse no longer exists thanks to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Jermaine Pratt's interception. Anyway, and I said to you that, for as much as we'd love for Sunday Night Baseball to come to NBC, since it, already has the name, I'm thinking about it. CBS, and you have Jim Nantz, Kevin Harlan, and Ian Eagle calling baseball. Can you imagine those guys calling baseball games?
Could not go wrong with it at all, is all I'll say.
Like, you could listen, like Jim Nantz's soothing voice that you hear on the Masters. Can you imagine that being drawn out for 3 hours during a baseball game and filling time and him telling stories about the Masters and everywhere else he's been?
Hello, friends. I'm Jim Nantz. You're the first pitch down the middle. Strike one. Bryce Harper up the bat. He's batting 326 on the season. And he sends it. I can't go that far. But it's crazy. Wow. It's crazy to think about, man. I mean, that was really cool to hear call baseball.
I'll say this, and you and I were talking about this. The last time Major League Baseball was on CBS, you know who was the play-by-play announcer who did both World Series in 92 and 93?
Vern Lundquist. I have no idea.
It's not Vern Lundquist. That's a very good guess, and I love me some Uncle Vern, but that was Sean McDonough.
Wow.
Who sounds the same now as he did then, which tells you how good he is, and he is a terrific hockey announcer, and if he can make Jason Whitlock like him, he's good.
Golden pipes for Sean, I'll tell you that.
Golden pipes. Wow, you're good. Anyway, we got a fun show today. So Chase and I are going to talk about the 5 quarterbacks. We have our list of 5 quarterbacks facing the most pressure going into 2025. We're going to talk about if Cooper Kupp's 2021 season is a one-hit wonder, because I was seeing some comments about that on Twitter earlier today. And then we're going to go a little mock Sunday night football schedules. Chase has done his in a very unique way. I've spent way too much time on mine. You're probably going to think I don't have anything else to do. That's not true. I actually do. But, we miss football, and we miss Sunday night football, and their 20th season's coming up, and Super Bowl 60, in addition to a whole bunch of other things. So good stuff coming your way. Chase, these lists, the 5 quarterbacks facing the most pressure in 2025, there are a lot of quarterbacks that can go on these lists. Let's just say that. Like, I feel like if you're not Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, you're facing pressure to win. And I should say win for the first time, whether that be an AFC championship, a Lombardi trophy. You're facing pressure to win in 2025.
Big time. I mean, if you don't have a Lombardi with you, what's happening? That's the big question. And that's what everybody else around the league is asking. Like, there are so many great players in this league. There's so many great quarterbacks that have the intangibles to win and everything else. But the big question that everyone's asking is when? If not, you got to go win the big one. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one when you have Patrick Mahomes in your way. And now Jalen Hurts in the way, standing on the mountaintop. So Someone's got to make someone has to make some sort of a mad dash to win a championship. But the pressure is mounting for a lot of players, a lot of quarterbacks in the National Football League.
It's the proverbial question, if not now, when? And that applies to a lot of quarterbacks that are on both of our lists, I am sure. All right, Chase, why don't you start us off with and we'll go 5 through 1 to build the suspense. Your number 5 quarterback on this list of quarterbacks to face the most pressure going into 2025.
Number 5. I'm going to go on ahead. I know he just got paid last year, this past season. I think Dak Prescott, in a way, just because of the fact, he got paid $60 million. He got paid a lot of money right before. It's crazy. Right before they played the Browns week 1 this year. And again, Dak didn't play bad this past season. He just got hurt, and it was unfortunate for him. I like Dak Prescott. I have no problem whatsoever. They're just Cowboys are under a lot of switch, a lot of change and everything right now. They just gotta, they have to be able to know that Dak Prescott is going to be there and that he's going to play at a very high level. I know coming off an injury, but they have to be able to know that we paid you $60 million per season. We got to trust that you're going to be there and that you're going to be the quarterback to lead us. So I think that's where the pressure's coming from, especially with a guy like Jerry Jones as the owner.
A guy like Jerry Jones is the owner. You're playing for the Dallas Cowboys. There's pressure already there, considering the quarterbacks that have come before you. Guys like Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach. And I'll even throw Tony Romo in there because he was pretty good statistically.
Yep.
But, Dak Prescott, as a regular season quarterback, he's very good. And you were alluding to it. He wasn't bad last year. He got hurt. But the Cowboys, aside from CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, who do they have around Dak Prescott? And by the way, now his best offensive lineman just retired.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a new change of scenery, new head coach, which I actually think a breath of fresh air for the Cowboys with Brian Schottenheimer could be coming because you get a younger voice, a guy who I quite frankly wanted to be the Bengals head coach after the 2020 season. Well, now the Bengals have had 4 straight winning seasons, including 2 AFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. So, but you're definitely right about Dak Prescott. He can be on this list for any season, and he's on your list for the season. Dak is not on my list. Spoiler alert. Dak is not on my list. Number 5 for me, Chase, I'm going to go with another quarterback who got paid last offseason, Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. So here's the thing about Jordan Love. I really like this guy because when you're drafted to be the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers, there's pressure on you from the minute you get drafted. And it was that way for Jordan Love, whether fairly or unfairly. So he's been the full-time starter for 2 seasons. His first season, he led the Packers from a 3-6 start to a 9-8 finish. They make the playoffs. They torch the Cowboys. He nearly leads the Packers to a win against San Francisco. And then the expectations were high going into the season. He battles through injuries. The Packers win 11 games. But look at the teams they didn't beat. Don't count the Bears game in Week 18. That was a weird game. Okay. Yeah. But the other 5 losses, Detroit twice, Minnesota twice, and Philadelphia. And that was just in the regular season. Do you know those 3 teams combined for 43 wins in 2024?
Crazy.
You have to be able to beat the elite teams. And the thing is, he has. Go back to 2023. There was a 2-game stretch, and you remember this. He beats the Lions on Thanksgiving in Detroit. And then the next week on Sunday Night Football, his first appearance on Sunday Night Football in Week 13, they beat the Chiefs. And he looked like the best quarterback on the field that day. So, the thing is, I've seen him do it. I've seen him go into Dallas and throw for 270 and 3 touchdowns. I've seen him in San Francisco battling against the 49ers defense. I've seen Jordan Love, be really athletic. I've seen him overcome injuries. I've seen him give the Packers chances in games. But you have to start to beat the elite teams in your own conference because you can't keep falling behind 28-0 or 27-3 and expect to come back because he throws 3 picks in the playoffs and the Packers couldn't overcome it against the. So for me, I form my opinion about a quarterback after 3 seasons, Chase. Love's going to be in his 3rd season as a full-time starter. This is an important season for him coming up. It can't just be win 11 games, get the number 7 seed, and, lose in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. No. That's not the expectation in Green Bay. The expectation is to win a Super Bowl. Do I think Jordan Love can do that? This season will tell us if he can.
I like it. I really do. And again, I think we were kind of going off of some different things on our list, and kind of, for me, I kind of threw a little bit of a list together, like, on the fly. But there's so many quarterbacks that are under pressure this season. It's tough to really pick that same 5 if you want.
All right, number 4.
All right. I'm gonna go Brock Purdy.
Love it. I love that pick.
Because you saw Brock Purdy and the Niners and honestly, it's Purdy/Niners, because you saw Brock Purdy when he had everything around him. He was functioning really well. Again, you could have that question of, okay, is it the system that really is well, or is it Brock Purdy that's good? I think Brock Purdy's good. I do. I think he's a good quarterback. But then you saw this year, there's so many injuries that happened, to say the least. There was so much, okay? Obviously, you had, like, on the offensive line, the defense, the receivers, running back, to say the least, when you're missing Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and everybody else, Trent Williams. There's a lot that goes into it, okay? And sometimes you just have to have that scrap of a season. This isn't the first time the Niners have had an election year stumble, to say the least. But
an election year stumble. Wow, what a phrase.
They've bowed out in the polls, to say. But you're looking, you can't have 2 losing seasons in a row. You can't. You just can't. Especially if you're Brock Purdy and you're in your 4th year, you're an unrestricted free agent coming up in 2026. So this is your time to say, hey, I'm proving my worth and I'm trying to get that money. I'm trying to help this team out. I'm trying to win, get back to the promised land, which I once got you to and took to overtime against the best quarterback in the game.
And walked off the field with a lead.
And exactly. So for Brock Purdy's standpoint, he's going to have to turn it up a notch, find the inner dog inside of him, and say, hey, we're not all bark. We got to be all bite this year, and let's go play some football. That's what Brock Purdy has to do this year. I need to see a different level from Brock Purdy in 2025, and I'm rooting for the guy.
I'm rooting for him too, because there's a chance he may be without Deebo Samuel this upcoming season.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to go with another Northern California boy, or at least he's from the Northern California area. Jared Goff.
I really want to on my list, but again, tightness. I love it.
Hear me out.
Yes.
Okay. That playoff game this past January against the Commanders, it wasn't a wake-up call, but it was an eye-opener that sparked 2 questions, at least for me. And I think other people were talking about this on Twitter after the game. Number 1, is Jared Goff a premier quarterback? Because he wasn't very good in that playoff game. He threw 3 picks. He lost a fumble. The fumble kind of halted the momentum of the Lions out. Remember, the Lions were up 7-3. You're thinking, they're driving down the field. You're thinking, okay, here's where they're going to really break the game open. And he fumbles. The Commanders stay in the game. And then the pick 6 he threw in the second quarter completely turned the game on its head. It completely turned the game on its head. What we saw that night was that question get asked. And then another question is Jared Goff a product of the talent around him?
Yeah.
Because you look at the Lions roster, it's pretty stacked. When you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, when you have Jahmyr Gibbs, when you have Sam Laporta, when you have David Montgomery. Oh, by the way, all those guys were healthy in that playoff game against the Commanders, and Goff still threw 3 interceptions.
Yep.
Like, oh, by the way, Jameson Williams was playing in that game too. So, to me, when I look at Jared Goff, there's no question. He has been one of the best storylines in the NFL the last 4 seasons.
Yes.
One of the best stories. Going from a guy perceived as a bridge quarterback to now being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, maybe top 5. But again, that playoff game there's a ceiling with Jared Goff. Has he hit a ceiling and a peak with the Lions? I mean, it doesn't get any better than the Lions had last year. 15-2, number 1 seed, road to the Super Bowl going through the Lions' den, and you lose to an upstart Commanders team.
Yeah.
That you had no business losing to.
Not at all.
That team had no business being there, let alone winning that game. And you gave that game away. He threw a bad pick before halftime. He threw another bad pick in the fourth quarter. I mean, I love Jared Goff because he and Dan Campbell and Aiden Hutchinson and whoever else you want to name,
Yeah.
They are all responsible for bringing the Lions not only back, but to heights never seen before within the Detroit Lions. Never seen before.
Since the days of Bobby Lane. I mean,
yes. Well, that's a name for you.
That's a
big time name for you. You got to go back to how far back do you have to go for that?
50s?
Jeez.
Something like that.
When they won the NFL championship.
Oh, jeez.
But again, there's pressure. I mean, if not now, when? If he couldn't get it done last year, is he going to get it done this year? And the Lions paid him that money last year, which I said he deserved, but premier quarterbacks win championships. And is Goff that? Next year's the year to find out.
Yeah, I rock with it. And I'm going to take this in an interesting way with my 3 and 2, okay? Because one's going to be a wild one, to say the least.
Wild one, you say?
Yeah. 3 is Goff, in my opinion. Okay, you smart that one up. Yeah. So with Goff, man, it's like I agree with every point you just made. When I was doing stuff with TWSN, I made the article about 3 quarterbacks who I thought were overrated in a way, to an extent. And I put Dak Prescott on the list, I put Trevor Lawrence on the list, and I put Jared Goff on the list. And I thought Jared Goff has played really well over the last 4 seasons. But I think you've seen a difference when you have to look at how Jared Goff plays in outdoor games compared to indoor games. When you look at a quarterback in that regard, that's kind of an issue. When you have to look at the fact that, he's not playing, he didn't play well against, in the big time game against the Commanders, you got to look at that. Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. Do not get me wrong. But man, with how you finished 15-2 and end up losing the first playoff game at home the way you lost, you've got not a chip on your shoulder. You got hundreds of chips on your shoulder. You got to rebound, and you have to go further than what you just did this past season, because that's a tough pill to swallow for the city of Detroit, the players, and Jared Goff himself. So he's got a lot to overcome this season, and a great roster to do it with. He's got to run it back and even further.
New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. That doesn't really, the ladder doesn't really affect him, but new offensive coordinator, like Ben Johnson's no longer there.
Yeah.
So it is going to be really interesting. And by the way, you mentioned he doesn't play well in outdoor games compared to indoor games. Well, first of all, next year's schedule for the Lions, their road games. By the way, they get one less home game because the AFC gets the 9th home game this year.
Yeah.
Philly on the road, Washington on the road, the Ravens on the road, the Bengals on the road, and the Chiefs are on the road. That's 5 outdoor games right there.
All above 500. All above 500, to say the least.
Yes. And that's not just against scrub teams either.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. The Lions were gifted the Commanders in the divisional round. That was the best draw for them.
Yeah.
They didn't get Minnesota. They didn't get the Rams. And they lose by 14. They lose by 14.
At home.
Yes. They weren't supposed to lose at home. They lost to Tampa Bay at home this year, but that was a fluke. They lost to Buffalo at home. Buffalo was 13-4. Josh Allen won MVP. Yeah. You lose to the Commanders, who then got their tails whooped by Philly the next week? How does that look?
We talked about this before, and this is no excuse for Detroit. When you got a young team like the Commanders that don't know what they don't know, that's some of the scariest football that you could play against right there in the playoffs, especially with a guy like Jaden Daniels.
Wonder where we've seen that before.
Oh, we know about it. I'll say that.
We do.
Firsthand.
Okay, so you said that Goff was going to influence your number 3 and your number 2.
My number 2, I think, is the biggest if out there is Justin Herbert. I'm sorry,
Justin
but
Herbert.
when you and people have said before, when you say Justin Herbert, you got to put if right next to it, because at the moment, again, Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, great duo last year, great pairing. I loved it. I loved everything that Jim Harbaugh was able to change about the Chargers.
You're an Ohio State fan saying this.
I know, Ohio State fans saying it. I mean, it's the way Jim Harbaugh impacts team. I've never seen a guy have that much success in year one with so many different teams around. It's incredible what Jim Harbaugh is able to do when it comes to turnarounds. But Justin Herbert played really well this year. He didn't turn the ball over a whole lot in the regular season. He threw 3 picks, over 20 touchdowns. He was really efficient with the football, high completion percentage. He looked comfortable and everything else. But when you get to the playoff game, in a game where you're favored against a Texans team who just doesn't look there, they just didn't look like their gears were turning, and you throw that many interceptions and look that lost? Are you kidding? Like, he's 0-2 in the playoffs. He blew a 27-point lead on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars and then got absolutely curb stomped against the Texans to open the playoffs up. There's no excuse at this point. If you want to go get a receiver, go get a receiver, okay? Go get a receiver in the offseason. There are receivers out there you can go get. You can go pay. You've got enough money. But, dude, there's no excuse anymore. There truly isn't. Again, you got to get the first playoff win under your belt. We're not talking about Super Bowl championships. We're not talking about AFC championship appearances right now. You got to get a playoff win under your belt first before we can even enter you into preliminary conversations. So, Justin Herbert.
Preliminary.
Yes, the Olympics and stuff. Pressure's on you. Number 2, pressure's on you.
Spoiler alert, Justin Herbert's my number 3 quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that in the last 6 quarters of playoff games that he has played in, the Chargers have been outscored 63-15?
Oh, my gosh.
And you want to talk about being gifted things. He has been gifted 2 playoff games against AFC South teams that the Chargers had better records than in the regular season in both years. And the last 6 quarters, they've been outscored by 7 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns, actually, because touchdowns were at 6 and 48.
Gosh.
Like,
gosh, dude.
Here's a quarterback that's thrown for over 20,000 yards through his first 5 seasons. And like you said, I thought he was really good this season. I thought he was efficient. I thought he played loose.
Yes.
I thought Jim Harbaugh came in, stabilized the organization.
He's really good. Like, we're not saying he's not good. He's really good.
They could run the football. They could play defense. Like, I'm like, this Chargers team is a team I don't think you want to face in the playoffs. The Texans were like, hold my beer.
Oh, jeez. Couple.
The Chargers went 8-3 in their last 11 games of the regular season. And, they just, I don't know what happened in the playoffs. You throw 3 picks in the regular season, you throw 4 in the playoffs. 4 in the playoffs.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And, Justin Herbert, yes, through the first 4 seasons, were some things out of his control? Sure. Coaching? Yes. Front office? Yes. Roster construction? Yes. Sure. You were given everything this year. Jim Harbaugh, J.K. Dobbins. Regular season and 11 wins and stat padding, yeah, that's great. Win a damn playoff game.
Exactly.
Win a playoff game. If you have that big of an arm, if you have that much talent around you, and you have that great of a head coach, you can't lose by 20 to the Texans in the playoffs. No.
Especially a struggling Texans team, to say the least.
Struggling Texans team, and a Texans team that didn't have it at their roster at full strength. And Houston's secondary, yes, I think is actually good, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And those who say that, and Herbert has gotten a pass from criticism in seasons past, he's not getting one this offseason.
Like Stephen A. Smith, man, we were hoodwinked, bamboozled. I don't know. It's pretty
bamboozled. Cool. All right. You want to hear my number 2?
Let's hear it.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
On this premise.
Uh-huh.
He is campaigned on Radio Row, which I loved. The Bengals have been in headlines this month. Headlines. It's a good thing. If the Bengals front office gives Joe Burrow what he wants, which I think they will, that means he has to prove he is elite.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people who will say he is. Dan Orlovsky, Michelle Smallman. Those guys will say he is elite. Colin Cowherd loves Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Okay? He has a lot of people that are very prominent. saying that he is one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. But if the Bengals give him what he wants, and let's say the Bengals start out again 1-2 or something like that, or let's say the Bengals miss the playoffs for a third straight year with this much talent, that 2021 AFC Championship that all these people who say he's elite go back to, that just becomes more of a distant memory, Chase.
It does.
And then guys like Chris Canny, guys like Shannon Sharp, their voices are going to be more vocal, and their opinions are going to be more vocal.
Exactly.
If you get what you want, you have to prove you like he was given a pass last season because he got hurt, and this season because the Bengals defense was so bad. How do you lose 4 games where you throw for 300 plus yards, 3 plus touchdowns, and score 33 plus points? Not because of Joe Burrow, because the defense stunk. But if you're given what you want and your defense is better next year, but you come out of the game, let's say you lose week 1, I may not even listen to sports media that week.
Not at all.
So I know exactly what's going to be now. If Joe Burrow gets what he wants, and let's say he comes out week 1, throws for 350 and 4 touchdowns, we're taking early September victory laps. You kidding me?
We're taking early season bets. Are you kidding me?
For MVP. Because here's a guy who's gotten a lot of sympathy this offseason, so to speak. Yeah. That's not going to come next season if you can't. And I'm not just saying get the Bengals to the playoffs. I'm saying get to the AFC Championship game where we know that's where Burrow's been every year he's been in the playoffs.
Change the narrative. Everybody in Cincinnati, the front office, Joe Burrow, everybody, change the narrative because I'm sick. Ooh. We're all sick and tired. We are all sick and tired of everyone in the radio, in the media that is talking about the Bengals aren't adapting to change. They're not going to change. They're not doing this or that or anything. Well, Joe Burrow's campaigning for that change. And guess what? The front office needs to get in that change. And then in turn, if that change happens, we have to change our result early in the season. That puts us into position later in the season to make a championship push.
Joe Burrow is just as responsible for the slow starts as anybody in the organization is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I like Joe Burrow at number 2, Alex.
Thank you. See, here's the thing. Chase and I are going to be honest on this show. Like, we are going to be honest.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right. Number 1 for you.
Oh, man. Well, this is kind of not a cop-out, but this is, it's loaded. And, I got 3 tied for first place for 3 of them.
Tied for first place.
A 3-letter, a 4-letter, and a 5-letter. Joe, Josh, Lamar. All 3 of them have the same amount of pressure in different types of categories and all levels out. Can Lamar actually get over the hump? Can Josh actually get over the hump and maybe take a break from having to play Patrick Mahomes, which he would have to rely on somebody else to get him? And can Joe Burrow get back to the playoffs? You know, all 3 of these guys, they're all after the same thing, and they all have to get through the same person to get to the promised land. That's Patrick Mahomes. This is the core 4 quarterbacks in the National Football League at the moment of the guys that are the best. And Jalen Hurts, I believe, is number 5. But you're looking at Joe, Josh, Lamar. 2 of them have MVPs. 1 of them beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship to go to a Super Bowl, which the other 2 have not gone to yet. In the balancing act of things, I'd say they're all around that same playing field. But somebody has to emerge from the pack. Somebody has to get the right type of, quote, luck or the right type and the amount of great play throughout a season. Somebody has to be, oh, well, it was my defense. Oh, it was my tight end that dropped the ball. Oh, it was my offensive line. Overcome it. Overcome it. Because guess what? These front offices are going to go back and they're going to look at the, how to construct their team and everything else. We don't have sympathy anymore. We don't. You have to go out there and you have to go win. One of these 3 guys has to go win. And obviously I hope it's Joe Burrow. But again, one of these guys has to go out there and win. Enough of this meddling around. Go take what's yours and go win a championship. Any of these 3 guys, who's going to break apart from the pack first?
I feel like I'm sitting in temple right now listening to a rabbi give a sermon.
Oh, jeez.
That's how good that was.
I appreciate that.
That was exceptional. Patrick Mahomes in the last 3 seasons has beaten Joe, Lamar, and Josh back to back in AFC Championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of those quarterbacks had home field against Mahomes and still lost.
Mm-hmm.
That was Lamar Jackson. Spoiler alert, he's my number 1 quarterback on this list. I didn't do 3. And I don't even have Josh Allen on my list.
Fair. I think it's fair in a way.
I mean, Josh Allen has played as well as he could have played against Mahomes all 4 times in the playoffs.
I think the Bills are just cursed, so that also doesn't help.
Well, I mean, if Dan Orlovsky says it, then I think there's some validity to that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Lamar Jackson. What good is having 2 MVPs and 3 first-team All-Pros if you can't even lead your team to the Super Bowl, let alone win the Super Bowl?
Facts.
Like, what good does it do?
Don't know.
And not only that, look at the talent the Ravens have given him. You want to know who the Ravens have accumulated over the last, or let's just say the whole Lamar Jackson era?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So how far back do I want to go for this? Let me think here. Okay. They have given him. I'm blanking now. How far back do I go on this?
I mean,
they have given him first-round wide receivers. Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, who I think are both really good.
Yeah.
They gave Lamar Jackson Mark Andrews as his tight end, who's one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah.
They traded for linebacker Roquan Smith, who's an all-pro, maybe the best linebacker in the NFL, though I still say Fred Warner is.
Mm-hmm.
They also have accumulated talent everywhere else on defense, up from Nnamdi Madubuike. Oh, by the way, they got Kyle Van Noy last offseason. They still have Marlon Humphrey in the back end. They went out and got him, wait for it, Derrick Henry.
For crying out loud.
Season. And you fall behind 21-10 at Buffalo in the AFC divisional round? You fall behind to that team that I heard all week was not built to beat you in the playoffs, even though they had you at home. It was 21-10 at halftime. And I expect you to still think you're an MVP and a first-team All-Pro? Can you win the big game for once with what you have been given? You've been given John Harbaugh. You've been given, the front office that's good. Like, what are we doing? You got the number 1 seed. You got a weak Chiefs team last year, and you scored 10 points.
Yeah.
3 after your first possession, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, and I don't want anybody to tell me that Lamar Jackson gets a pass from that game against the Bills this past postseason. Again, you remember what happened in the first half? He threw one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see, and then he fumbles with no one really even coming at him. Yeah. You want to blame Mark Andrews for dropping the ball? So did you.
Mm-hmm. Passionate. We got really passionate in this session.
I know. It's like I know. And by the way, North Carolina, Florida State is still going on as we record this.
Good. Jeez.
What time is it? As we record this, it's 9:15. This game is ending 15 minutes past its window.
That's late. Tell you that. Other games start on ESPN News.
They got to start looking at the format of how they do these games. All right. So we're going to get to our mock schedules because this is going to be really good. But Chase, I was on Twitter Monday morning, and I was NFL on CBS was reliving Cooper Kupp's 2021 season. And then I was reading the comments, and more than one person said one season wonder was Cooper Kupp's 2021 season. Do you agree with that sentiment?
As time goes on, a lot of people just let things they just let time go away. Yes, that Cooper Kupp had 800 more yards than his next best season that he had in 2019 of 94 for 1161 and 10 touchdowns. But come on. What the big thing that happened there, Matt Stafford came into town. You know, they had a game plan to scheme up Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp stayed healthy, and he was just that good, and he was better than every DB that was guarding him. And
we all know about that.
Is he yeah, we do. And is he a one-hit wonder, though?
That's so strong to say, I feel like.
There are only 6 Triple Crown winners in the NFL history.
And you're one of them.
So we want to say that Terrell Owens the one-hit wonder? Like, come on, man. Like, the dude had a Triple Crown, for crying out loud. Like, Cooper Kupp is still very efficient, productive, and everything else. It's just been a lot of injuries that have gotten him, you know? When he's on the field, you know he's going to get the football. There's no doubt about it. But he was on the field for every single game, and the Rams were that good, and Matthew Stafford was that healthy and on point, and that's what you saw. A quarterback playing at his highest level late in his career, and a receiver in his prime playing at his highest level, consistently healthy, and you saw those results. That's just being a damn good football player.
And having a ridiculously good year. To put it in perspective, Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown this past season. Cooper Kupp had 22 more catches than Chase did.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp had over 200 more yards than Chase did.
And the thing,
that's how good Cooper Kupp was in 2021.
Cooper Kupp was another 50-yard pass away from going for 2,000.
We've never seen, I mean, his season was Calvin Johnson-esque.
He was 16 yards away from Calvin Johnson's record.
16. I mean, he plays slot. That's one crossing route away.
Yeah, let's run a 10-yard dig, get about 6-7 yards after the catch. First down, move the sticks. He got a record.
Like, to say that his season was a one-hit wonder. So what? We're going to say Calvin Johnson was a one-hit wonder?
And again, you can look at the numbers and say, okay,
Jamar Chase a one-hit wonder? Because
that's
we're
crazy.
Not having that debate.
Because then people want to go back and look at the numbers and say, okay, yeah, he's a one-hit wonder because he had nowhere near 1,900 yards. Dude, what receiver is consistently getting 1,900 yards in a season?
Let alone 1,500.
Jerry Rice, maybe not even that. You know,
that wasn't even a passing league then.
Oh my gosh! Like, get out of here with that.
Okay, and by the way, here's the thing about injuries. That was the first time a 17-game season had been played. So he plays 17 games. He plays 4 games in the playoffs. The season goes to February 13th. The season starts 6 months later. So he's been hurt. Okay, well, here are his numbers when he was hurt, if you want to go down that route. Because even though the Rams are going to release him this offseason, which I get it, he's 8 years in. You want to get younger and give the Rams credit. They've done just that with guys like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. If I can pull up this stat here. Okay, so Cooper Kupp, in years where he has been quote-unquote hurt, by the way, he played 9 games in 2022. Okay. 75 catches. That out over a full season, his numbers are going to be ridiculous again.
Yep.
They're going to be ridiculous again. And then, so what? He's hurt in 2023. Actually, I think he was suspended. Wasn't he? Was he suspended?
I think.
Okay. I think he might have been suspended to start the season. All right, no problem. 59 catches, 737 yards, 5 touchdowns. Last year, 67 catches, 710 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Like,
yeah,
one-hit wonder? Please. The Rams drafted Puka Nacua. Like,
exactly.
How are you going to say he was a one-hit wonder? You definitively cannot say that.
And if you want to stretch out the games that you're talking about with 21 and 22, 26 games played, and he had 220 catches for 2,759 yards receiving and 22 touchdowns in 26 games.
That's amazing. Like, that is legitimately amazing.
Yeah.
220 catches in 26 games.
So to answer your question, no, he's not a one-hit wonder. To answer everybody else's question out there, no, not a one-hit wonder. I think we agree on that.
Maybe we can retire that question. All right. Let's make some mock schedules here.
Oh, boy.
Sunday Night Football on NBC's 20th season, which is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, I want to start with you because you're doing your schedule in an interesting way. You just have matchups. You don't have them in a particular week, which I'm perfectly okay with. So let's hear some matchups that you would like to see on Sunday Night Football this season.
Some matchups I'd like to see on SNF, man. You know, this is interesting how I want to go about this. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the first two, the opener and the Brazil game to start. Okay. Opener, I think, is going to be Rams Eagles. I think they're going to run it back. I could see Washington and Philadelphia doing it, and that's a great pick to say the least. But I wanted to go a little different there. That would be the third time they've played on NBC in a 12-month time frame, but in less than 12-month time frame to say.
Less than 10 months.
10 months at that rate. So then I think the Brazil game's Houston and the Chargers. I think it's a playoff rematch. Justin Herbert's going to have a chance to try to fight the demons in week 1. So we would see how that ends up playing out. You know, I hate divisional games to start the season off. But could you talk about what a banger Ravens Bengals would be week 1?
It would be an absolute. I mean, you get two of the most electric offenses in the sport, electric players. The jungle's going to be alive. You may remember this game, Chase. Week 1, 2007, they played on Monday Night Football. That was when Chad Johnson put the Hall of Fame jacket on the sidelines after he caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was loud that night at Paul Brown Stadium.
Was that Michael Myers had a pick to end the game?
Yes. Michael Myers had a pick to end the game. Landon Johnson had a pick 6 early in the third quarter. Robert Gathers had a game-changing pick in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He also had a forced fumble, I believe, in the first quarter against Ravens quarterback, God rest his soul, Steve McNair. Yeah. Hoosh had the game-winning touchdown in that game.
Say it again.
Hoosh Manzada had the game-winning touchdown.
Hoosh! Yeah, love it.
The Bengals. Yeah, that game was crazy on Monday Night Football. Mike Tirico on the call for that game alongside.
Was it Ron Jaworski?
Alongside
Tony Kornheiser.
Yes, Ron Jaworski, Tony Kornheiser, and sideline reporters Susie Colbert and Michelle Tafoya.
Ah, man. Michelle Tafoya, former SNF, man.
I love that. Okay, here's the crazy thing about this. I have the exact same opening kickoff night and Brazil matchups.
That's actually wild. We did not plan this.
No, we did not. Because I was going to go Commanders-Eagles. And then I thought about Lions-Eagles, but I'm like, I want to save that for a little bit.
I feel that's Fox, but again,
later
it could
down
be
the road. Yeah, just wait.
Oh.
Texans-Chargers, I think it's a great I think it's a great Brazil matchup. I mean, last year they got the NFC. Let's give them the AFC this year. And then my Sunday night game, the Ravens are the road team, but I didn't put the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. I did not put them on Sunday Night Football week 1.
Fair. And honestly, when I think about it, I'm just like shooting something in the dark. I don't think it's going to be week 1 SNF, but again, also I think the Bengals will be on the road because I think the Reds do. I think the Reds have a home game that weekend, so that is also something to
see. I need to think about that kind of stuff.
But again, I'm interested to hear who your home opponent is for that.
Oh, don't worry. It's just Ravens-Bills week 1. You know, the last 2 MVPs, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
Box office hit week 1. Let's hit the ground running.
And I'm telling you right now, that could be like a 38-35 game because here's the thing. Defense is like, yes, they can be ready, but like they haven't played a full game. And when you have 2 quarterbacks that can run around crazy and playmaking this and that,
there's
going to be some fireworks. And by the way, a primetime game in early September with Bills Mafia, you're asking for it.
Yes, you are. That's a fact.
All right, how do we want to do this from here? Because I have mine every single week. This is how much time I spend on these, by the way.
How about let's think about this. All right. So I want to give you 2 other games, my Thanksgiving and my Saturday game for December. But then I'm going to go 4x4, and you can go 4x4 as well if you want to do that.
Perfect. Let's do it. Okay.
But we'll keep it pretty brief. All right. So we can just kind of we'll kind of shoot these out, and then we'll just kind of briefly talk about like what game sticks out to us if you want to do that.
Yeah, I love this. I mean,
So what I was thinking of, you said bread and butter before we started. Bread and butter, Thanksgiving. So guess what? Let's go with the back alley brawl of Pittsburgh and Baltimore on Thanksgiving. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that?
Well, just tell Mike Tomlin to stand on the sidelines this time instead of trying to stand on the field.
Yeah, that will be big. He just have your get back coach there, And then
where's that game played?
It's in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore.
I think it's in Baltimore. I think it's in Baltimore. I would love it in Pittsburgh, but I think it's in Baltimore. My Saturday game in December. They played in December this year in the same venue. I think they run it back, and I think NBC gets it a try. Minnesota, Seattle, I think.
Okay. Kind of an underrated matchup.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, a good one. Can you imagine if Kirk Cousins is on the Seahawks this season?
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
I don't think he will be. I'm a Geno Smith believer, as you'll come to know on this podcast. So
that's facts. So let's go on ahead.
Okay. So you know what? I'm going to give you my Thanksgiving night game.
Okay.
What's better than Thanksgiving night with Bills Mafia?
Okay. All right. I see where you're going with that.
But you know what? Let's give it a divisional rivalry. May I interest you in Patriots Bills Thanksgiving night?
Dude, we've got a same matchup, just in different spots.
Oh gosh.
Are you? You talking Foxborough, right? In Foxborough?
Oh, no, I'm talking in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
For Thanksgiving night, Patriots and Bills.
Okay.
You watch.
I like it.
Wait, New England's going to be in primetime this season.
They will. They definitely will. They got another quarterback now. He's good. Really good quarterback. They get another receiver, like we talked about behind the scenes. There's
a guy in LA who might be interested.
He might
His
be.
name is Cooper Kupp.
Sign him.
Okay. Now I went like NBC did 2 years ago when they had the 4:30 NBC game and then the Saturday night Peacock game.
Okay.
Let's be honest. 20th season, you got to have a doubleheader in December.
Yeah.
All right, so let me give you my 4:30 game that Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday before Christmas. The Eagles are going to host it against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
I think with Pete Carroll as the head coach. Now, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be somewhat competitive this season. I like some of the pieces they have on that team.
Pete's teams are jumpy. They always are, and I love seeing it.
That's the Saturday on NBC game. The night game on Peacock, we're going to go with the Broncos at the Texans.
Man, we really have alike thinking in a way.
This is why this is why I said to you on Christmas we need to do this podcast.
Yeah, we really have. I like it.
You think along the same wavelength as me.
It's in a different spot, but again, we have so much time to really meld this together. But
here's the thing. Here's the thing for me. And by the way, I had the Texans somewhere else. So this means I have the Texans playing on SNF on NBC on a Friday night, Saturday night, and a Sunday night. So how's that for you?
That's a weekend, to say the least.
When the last time that happened was. Anyway, but Broncos-Texans, it could be a good matchup. It may not be, but I wanted to put it somewhere where it can't get flexed out.
Okay, fair.
Where it can't get flexed out. So that's my doubleheader the Saturday before Christmas.
I like it.
Man, this is good.
I like it a lot.
Wait till my next week. It's going to be pretty wild.
No, I can't wait.
I'm setting no ground rules for my schedule next week.
All things go. Let's think about this. So, do you want to go week 2 through week 5 and just name them, and then I'll name you 4 games that I want to see, and then we'll just kind of be okay. So give me your week 2 through week 5, just rattle.
All right. So week 2 for me. Someone's trying to FaceTime me. We'll have to wait for that a little bit. Sorry about that. I guess people wanted to tune in and hear this.
I guess so. Right off the bat.
It's a 513 number, so there you go. Anyway, week 2, I got the Cowboys at the Lions.
I like it.
The Cowboys at the Lions. Hopefully nothing crazy happens.
Mm-hmm.
On those 2 teams. Week 3, I'm going to go with the Bears at the Bengals.
Ooh. Okay.
Now, you could realistically put that game anywhere. But I think a Sunday night game could work. And here's the thing with the Bengals. When you have a hold on one second.
No, you're good. I see the number 1 overall pick.
I'm getting alerts. Anyway, excuse me. So, but the Bengals, like, they should do their whiteout game or whatever they want. They should do their whiteout game and Ring of Honor game in a game where they're playing a team they should beat. And last year, the Bengals got a Sunday night game at the Giants on the road. We all knew they were going to beat the Giants.
Yeah.
So the Bears are kind of like the equivalent of a home game for them in that case this year. All right. Week 4, I said this in one of my mocks earlier, but I'm going to bring it back. Commanders at Chiefs.
Oh, yep.
That game will be primetime. At least it should be. I'd be shocked if it's not. And then week 5, what was that? I told you that I'm going to, save Lions-Eagles for a little bit later. But, I'm going to bring it out week 5.
Okay.
Imagine early October, Sunday night in Philly with the Lions coming in.
That'd be dope. Would like it.
Yeah. Make sure you eat your cheesesteaks.
Got that right. Yeah.
All right.
I enjoy those.
The vision. It's all about the vision, Chase. By the way, my next schedule is going to be like a Chinese food theme. And what I mean by that is if I like it, I will put it on there.
There you go. Just write it in. Oh, man. So I think I'm just going to give you 4. So I'm going to give you 4 games. We're going to, obviously I don't have the weeks and everything else, but I'm just give you 4. Your 4 weeks, and I'll give you my 4 games. And this is in no particular order.
So
I need a Dallas at Philly game. No doubt. Need that.
Okay.
I need a Ravens at Bengals, SNF. No doubt. I need Green Bay at Detroit.
Oh.
And preferably in December. And then I'll spin the block and go, I need Cincinnati and Green Bay. I need Bengals at Packers.
You know what's interesting? I thought about this because you said this like it's a progression. They played at Green Bay in week 2 in 2009, week 3 in 2017. So then it's week 4 this year. And that's not just on the road, but have you noticed that every time the Bengals play the Packers, it's early in the season? I think the latest that I can remember is in week 8 in 2005. Because even the home games have been in week 3. They've been in week 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
trends.
You wonder if the NFL scheduling companies actually know about this stuff. And I think it'd be hard to tell us they don't.
Yeah. Trends.
I feel like they have to know.
They got to know. They've been doing this for 5 separate occasions since 2005. It's been 20 years. Literally 20 years. Like, that's enough. But yeah, you get it, though.
Well, I mean, they've played on 4. They played a 425 on they've played a 425 on CBS, and they were the single header game on Fox in 2013. So you have to think that eventually they're going to get into prime time.
Exactly.
Just don't tell the kickers that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I was at that game. Okay, so now we're going week 6 through week 9. Oh, these are about to be so good.
Let's hear it.
What if I told you I have 2 divisional matchups in this block?
I like it.
Okay, let's go week 6. I'm going to go to a matchup that was huge in the 90s, Chase.
Okay.
I'm going to go Bills at Steelers.
Man, we are really on the same wavelength. I love it.
Well, you do. Eventually, when you do these mock schedules over and over again, like you get used to these. You get used to the matchups.
You do.
You do.
Shuffle,
Okay, week 7, I'm going to go with the Packers at the Vikings, one of my favorite rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah.
Truly one of my favorite rivalries in the NFL.
That's a great
week 8, I'm going to go Lions at the Bengals. That's going to be the Stripe the Jungle game.
I hope it is, man. I really hope it is.
Just please don't put that on Thursday Night Football. I will take that as a slap in the face. And no offense to Prime, because I really like the way they do their broadcasts.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
That's a Sunday 425 at minimum.
Gotta minimum. Though. I agree, but it's gotta be.
You want to put it on a standalone game on a Saturday later in the season? I can maybe be sold on that.
Yeah.
And then week 9, this is one of my favorite games. Eagles Commanders in Washington. Can I say this real quick about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders?
Yeah.
I think they have to own that loss against the Eagles.
Yeah, they do.
Because they did not play well. And there are going to be heightened expectations.
Yeah.
With the Commanders this year. And what you don't want is, and this is something I heard on the NFL Daily podcast hosted by Greg Rosenthal, who's very good.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you don't want the Commanders to turn to the Texans of this year next year.
Yeah.
All right.
Hungry.
All right. Let me hear some more matchups from you.
Detroit, Washington.
Oh, easily sold on that.
Injected. All right. We talked about this before. Who says Chiefs Bills can't be on another network?
It should be.
Give it.
And it has been before.
I think they're going to reverse and go Baltimore and Kansas City on CBS this year. I think they're going to give it a 425 slate.
Which I'd have no issue with.
Yeah. So I think KC Buffalo. And I think Buffalo and Cincinnati, I think, is going to be a 425. But I could also see them being SNF, no doubt.
So you're saying Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals, Bills, or you're just saying that for other time slots?
I'm saying that for 425 games. I think they're going to get the best
so
of both
you still have two more to go, man. This is going to be good.
Yeah. You mentioned Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and because Buffalo clinched I think they clinched a playoff spot in 2019 in Pittsburgh.
Week 15.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You may remember that was Buffalo's first Sunday night game in 12 years.
Exactly. So I think they're going to go back, run it back, and I think it's a beautiful matchup of Western PA and Western New York having a collision.
Man, you were the only person. If Mike Tirico needs to hear that, because that was beautiful what you just said.
Man, and then you said it earlier, but I think they're going to give it a standalone in a way, and I could also see this being a Saturday game too, like you mentioned. Denver, Houston. Something about the picture of orange and blue versus red, white, and blue in Houston. Something gives it an NBC type feel. And you know what? If it wasn't Mike Tirico, I wished it was Tom Hammond on the call.
God bless Tom Hammond. He has a book out, by the way, that I need to eventually read. It's called
reading.
What's it called? I'll have to look at it. But I mean, Tom Hammond, you want to talk about a legend.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who just was made it look so easy.
Big time.
And he was so all right. So now I've got weeks 10. I've already said my Thanksgiving night game. So we'll go 10 through 13.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, week 10. And I feel like this is the latest this game should be, period.
Yeah.
Not just on Sunday Night Football. Well, maybe if it's in another slot. But Chiefs Cowboys. I feel like that's destined for Sunday Night Football.
I love it, Alex. I love it, but I just think that CBS is going to try to nab that. I don't like.
I agree with you.
But I would love a KC Dallas SNF game. But NBC's going to make a hard push. They're going to make such a hard push for that game. It's oh my God, dude. If that happens, oh jeez, I would love that.
Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, geez,
right.
I would love it.
Week 11. I mean, you can't have a Sunday Night Football game in November without Steelers and Ravens in Baltimore. So
yeah,
I mean, week 11. The playoffs are coming. It's November football when you have Steelers and Ravens. I mean, look, you can say the rivalry's not the same because it doesn't have Big Ben or Ray Lewis or guys like that. No, it still is. You ask anybody associated with that rivalry, it still is. And then week 13 Sunday night, week 12 Sunday Night Football. I'm going to go with a really interesting matchup: Buccaneers and Rams.
Ooh, okay.
In LA. And you remember that Sunday night game or the playoff game they played on NBC a few years ago?
Yeah.
I listened to that game on radio, interestingly enough. Because I was coming back from Nashville that day. You can probably figure out why. And then my week 12 Sunday night game, we are going to go – or no, I already said week 12, didn't I?
13.
I already said Patriots Bills for Thanksgiving. Week 13. I wanted to get this in my mock schedule a few ones back. God, this matchup's going to blow it's going to rock your socks off.
Oh boy.
Texans at Seahawks.
Ooh.
Can you imagine the randomness of this matchup on Sunday Night Football?
They like to do it once, I tell you.
I had to get Seattle in there somewhere. You can say whatever you want to me about Seattle and Geno Smith. They won 10 games last year.
They did. I like it.
All right, let's hear 4 more matchups that you, Chase Younts, would like to see on Sunday Night Football next year.
Washington, Kansas City. I would definitely love that. I think mid-October, I would say. Or early.
A great Monday night game in October 8 years ago, if you remember, when Alex Smith was still the quarterback of the Chiefs.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I remember that. 2017.
Yes. Week 4.
Week 4. Travis Kelce, that crazy dance. But yeah, I feel like at the week 6 SNF or a week 9 SNF. Kansas City at Denver.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like that's December. I feel like that's got December or like Thanksgiving weekend written all over it.
Yeah, we've seen that Thanksgiving weekend before.
We have 2014, but okay. Get ready for this one.
Oh, all right.
Philadelphia versus the Chargers.
Okay. Yeah. It's a good one.
I just think the color matchup and everything else would go well. And it's Jalen Hurts versus Justin Herbert, same draft class. Minnesota, Dallas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They played a great Sunday night game 6 years ago, you may remember.
2019. And they also Dak did the hips thing or whatever. But
I think that's when that was birthed, actually.
I believe so. And again, I could see them doing that exact same thing from that game where Dallas wears the blue and Minnesota wears the white.
Oh.
Revive it.
Uniforms now.
Revive it.
Wow.
All right, let's hear your next 4.
Okay, so now I've got the last few weeks of the regular season. Oh, boy.
14, 15. You already did your 2.
I already did a week 16 Saturday. I got one for Sunday, though. Don't worry.
Okay. So, okay.
We're going 3 games. I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Okay. Week 14. Bengals and Broncos in Denver.
Love it.
I mean, a late season game between those two teams. You never know what can happen. Heck, you never know what can happen early in the season.
Yeah.
All right. Week 15. 49ers at Buccaneers. I only have San Francisco in there once because I really don't know what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
If I knew what they were going to look like, they'd be in there a whole lot more because it's the 49ers.
Yep.
All right. Week 16. The Sunday night game, Minnesota at the Chargers.
Ooh.
Regardless of who the quarterback is. It's J.J. McCarthy against Jim Harbaugh or Sam Darnold against the Chargers. And then week 17. How about this matchup for you? Ravens at Packers.
Ooh, give me that. I love that one.
And personally, I think that's just best for Sunday Night Football. I can see it being a CBS game. I can see it being a Monday night game even. But let's be honest. And this means I have the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills in there 3 times each. Kansas City I only have twice. Let that tell you something. I also have the Lions in there 3 times, the Eagles in there 4 times, and Tampa Bay twice, the Rams twice. Yeah.
All right. I like it.
Okay. Let me hear 4 more matchups.
I don't know how to ramp this up even more, but I think you're gonna really like these.
Oh, God.
Okay. So I'm gonna ride with the Buffalo New England one in Foxborough.
Okay. That to me is like, okay, we're going to give New England the home field, but that's a measuring stick game. Even though New England has beaten Buffalo 2 straight years at home.
And I think it's going to be in October. I think we're going to say, here you go, New England.
And what will happen is the Red Sox will be in the ALCS against the Yankees, and that's going to,
Yep. And give me week 5. Give me week 5.
Oh, God.
Screw it. Week 5.
Screw it. Just, divisional matchup. There you go.
Another divisional matchup. San Francisco at the Rams.
In LA, though.
Yes.
Thank goodness. Because every time those 2 teams are in primetime, it's always in San Francisco.
Yep. We're on the same one there. I mean, we are. These next two.
Oh, my God.
Atlanta and Tampa. In Tampa.
I like the uniqueness of this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Atlanta at Tampa.
I like
Obviously, they played the prime game last year in Atlanta. I want to see them play a night game in Tampa. And I think that's going to be, I could see late October and early November.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Or they could stick it in December since probably those 2 teams will be battling for the division.
All
watch out for Bryce Young. But here's my last one.
Oh, boy.
And I saved this one for last, but I think this one could be an early season SNF game just because, again, we have to monitor who the quarterback's going to be that goes from one team to another. And, I feel like either week 3 or week 4, we're going to have a quarterback on a new team against a big-time team on SNF, and it'll be a home game for the new quarterback. But I don't know what's going to happen with this team. But I do know this team has a new head coach. And we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. I think this is 2 of the biggest brands in football that are going to battle against each other, and I could see this being a week 3 or week 4 SNF game. Give me Cowboys Raiders in Vegas.
The only thing that I know is going to be guaranteed is Gene Steratore won't have to pull out an index card for the measurement that we saw in week 15 back at the Coliseum in 2017. That is a while, but I love it.
Early season is the thing.
Yes.
You can't flex it.
Well, that's the thing. And that's why I put Patriots Bills in week 11 or on Thanksgiving night, because you cannot flex that out.
Exactly.
Like, you have to think about those things. Like, if I put it in week 11, like Colts Jets was last year, Chase, as soon as you saw that, you saw Bengals Chargers at 425, and I said to my cousin, they put that there because they know that Colts Jets is going to be easily flexed out. No offense to those 2 teams or the matchup, but you knew Bengals Chargers was there for that reason.
They knew it, and I'll tell you this, Alex, you're looking at it. Normally, Dallas will start off week 1 on SNF, if not within the first 3 weeks. I could see a scenario where you're looking at, I could see week 2 with this game, where you're looking at Dallas maybe comes off a win. The Raiders, if it's 2 0-1 teams, who gets their first win? If it's a 1-0 versus 0-1, can the other team get to 2-0? And who tries to avoid being 0-2?
Yeah,
if both teams are 1-0, who gets to 2-0? I'm telling you, this could be a very interesting game where it's like, all right, America already doesn't like the Cowboys. America has their opinion on the Raiders. They're going to let them duke it out on national television.
But you want to talk about Pete Carroll coming in. You want to talk about Pete Carroll coming in to revive the Raiders brand. You and I think, would both agree on this. The Raiders, when they're good, the NFL is better because of it. The Raiders are a brand. Okay?
And I'm sorry, I want to cut into this. Who's the Cowboys' new coach?
Brian Schottenheimer.
And didn't he work under Pete Carroll?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Not just work under him. He was his offensive coordinator.
Yep.
At a time when Russell Wilson was being talked about, why is he not getting enough MVP votes? But here's the thing when I was going to, and you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
So the Raiders are better, or the NFL is better when the Raiders are good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what you're saying? If both teams come in 1-0 and the Raiders beat the Cowboys, you want to talk about how you get back into America's good graces by being America's team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What happens in Vegas may not be staying in Vegas.
Exactly.
God, that's so good.
I love it. I'll have weeks.
See, you got me thinking now. I need to put that in my mock schedule somewhere.
I'm just saying.
I thought I was going bull with Raiders at Eagles, a rematch of Super Bowl 15, but
I like it, though.
yeah. Throw that in a distant galaxy.
I think the marketing standpoint for Cowboys at Raiders, I think, could be blockbuster if it's in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season. And I think week 2 is your sweet spot for it.
Week 2.
If anybody from NBC is listening, I'm telling you, week 2 for that game. Gotta do it.
They can hire us because you said it, right? You had the vision. So NBC should hire us when that game is on Sunday Night Football.
If that's the case, oh man, give me a case.
We'll be doing this in the Dick Ebersol Studios.
Would love it.
I'll bring this picture that I have with me.
Hey, it's a nice picture.
All right. You said to me earlier today we were going to go 45 minutes. We're already an hour and 9 minutes in, but that's
had
okay.
Great combo.
Oh, yeah. By the way, next week, I post 2 Sunday night mocks a week, one on Sunday, and then I do another fresh one on Monday. So
I think we've entered the time. March Madness. March is next week, but I think what we might need to do is have a little bit of madness from the past, and I think we need to kind of peel back the books and see some nostalgic SNF games as well. Coming up.
Nostalgic SNF games. All right. You know what? To give us a preview, if you could think of one Sunday night game that stands out to you in the previous 19 years, pick one.
Oh, geez. Aside from any Ravens Steelers games, I know the Week 9 game stands out to me the most. It stands out, I would say the most. It stands out to me a lot, but the game that got me, you know what? I'm gonna go Patriots Colts 09.
God, you stole mine.
Sorry.
You were kidding me. I mean, look, that game was great.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, there's so many games I'm thinking about right now.
There's a lot. There really is.
I'm gonna go with. I don't want to go with that one. Oh, there's so many.
I'll let you go first. I'll let you get yours in, but I've got another one, which is it's a good one.
I'm gonna go just real quick for time's sake. I'm gonna go the game that started the break of the Patriots dynasty. 2019 Week 9. Lamar Jackson. Running right through the Patriots defense.
Mm-hmm.
Blackout game for the Ravens. It was the first Sunday night game in Baltimore since I don't even know when at the time. And the Ravens took it to the Patriots that night.
Ran right through their heart to say. And I think I want to stick on the Patriots path one more time. Seahawks Patriots 2016, the first time that they played the Super Bowl 49. And Gronkowski got guarded by Cam Chancellor on the last play of the game. And Seahawks won.
All right, I'm gonna go with one that made me so mad with. Well, I shouldn't say that. It just made me think, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Tom Coughlin. 2015 Week 1. When the Giants had the game won.
Jason Witten touchdown.
Until they didn't, thanks to Jason Witten. My God, how am I going to rank the 20 best games of the last 19 years?
There's two of us. It's going to be tough.
That might not be enough. We might need Noah and I and Eagle. We might need Mike Tirico. We might need Rodney Harrison.
Go knock on Chris Collinsworth's door. Jeez.
Oh, God. I mean, he is in Cincinnati, so there you go.
I think we might need to cut this one off.
All right. Chase, you got Bearcats and Baylor tomorrow night with Aiden Riggs. Look, I know you're looking forward to that. It's a game the Bearcats should win. You told me it's a game we need to take advantage of. I think you're absolutely right.
Have to. I'm excited for it, and I think the player I'm most excited to watch tomorrow is VJ Edgecombe. I cannot wait.
He has really come on strong.
He's ridiculous.
He's one of my players to watch tomorrow. But also, I mean, what Norchad Omeyer has done this season, I mean, he is a tenacious player.
Cannot forget about him.
No, you cannot. And you also can't forget about a guy like Jeremy Roach. I know he's kind of been demoted to the bench, but he's experienced. We know that from his days at Duke. So it should be a good game tomorrow. I'm excited to see Baylor. Scott Drew, a lot of respect for him. Yeah. So I'm sure you do too with the job that he's done at Baylor. So it's gonna be a good game. It should be. UNA on the call. I am hosting halftime, so that'll be fun. I might spill another mock schedule on the halftime show. You never know, Chase.
We'll see how it plays out.
Cowboys Raiders. God, you got me going with that one. Okay. I think we are 30 minutes over when we said we were going to finish this recording. It is 9:56, and Houston and Texas Tech is still in the first half, so that's good. God, that was good. He's Chase Younts at YountsChase32 on Twitter. I'm Alex Frank at Frankie_Natty on Twitter. Yes, my stage name, Frank. You can refer me by that if you wish to. If you don't, no hard feelings. This has been the Waitin All Day for Sunday Night Podcast. We are back, I think, next Monday. Maybe another show this week, but we'll have plenty of conversations next Monday. Chase, how about this? NFL Scouting Combine, which, I mean, the NFL season, the NFL cycle never stops.
It doesn't.
And the top 101 free agents, as written by Greg Rosenthal on NFL.com. So we will have some free agent conversations. And, of course, the next Sunday Night Football on NBC mock schedule.
There we go.
This is the Chinese food edition. If I like it, I will put it on there, Chase.
There you go.
God, that's going to be so good. You have no idea what I've got cooked up next week.
I'm excited.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of month of February. It's almost March, and the bid stealers are out there. This has been the Waitin' All Day for Sunday Night Podcast. He's Jesse Younts. I'm Alex Frank. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.